There was something in the green room, and I had my child with me, and I knew she was scared at this point, so we didn't take her there anymore. We had a nanny at home with her. Did you know that in this world, bad deeds don't go unpunished? The recent news about the famous host of the Dyer television, Joni Lamb, has sent shockwaves throughout the media. Everyone is talking about it, but no one knows the truth. What exactly happened to her, and what does it mean for her career and the future of Dyer? Stay tuned as we find out the details of this heartbreaking news for Joni Lamb. The Christian community was shaken today as Jonathan and Susie Lamb, the children of Joni Lamb, made a monumental announcement regarding their mother's health and her troubling personal choices. After a period of mounting concern, the Lamb family's hidden struggles have finally come to light, with Jonathan and Susie revealing that Joan's health has significantly deteriorated, leading to her absence from the Dyer television network, the Christian broadcast empire built by her late husband, Marcus Lamb. While fans and reporters had grown accustomed to seeing Joni on television, her recent disappearance has raised questions that have now been addressed by her own children in an emotionally charged statement. Jonathan and Susie expressed their deep concerns about their mother's physical and mental well-being. The pair revealed that Joan's health had been in sharp decline, causing her to withdraw from the public eye. According to Jonathan, his mother has been struggling not just physically but emotionally as well. We've watched her change, and it's been heartbreaking. The announcement further revealed that Joan's absence from Dyer programming was not a temporary break but a sign of more serious underlying health issues. However, what began as an announcement about her health quickly morphed into something far more troubling. Jonathan and Susie did not hold back in their assessment of Joan's behavior over the past few years. Their public statement soon turned into a critique of their mother's treatment of her family, especially after the death of their father, Marcus Lamb. They made it clear that despite the public image of unity and faith, their family dynamic had soured following Marcus's passing, and the emotional toll it had taken on them was immense. The decline of Joan's relationships with her children, Jonathan, who had been closely involved with Dyer for much of his life, was the first to speak out. He described the growing rift between himself, Susie, and their mother, painting a picture of a woman who had become increasingly difficult to communicate with. The love and support that we once knew from our mother is no longer there. She became distant, cold, and at times downright cruel, Jonathan shared during a recent interview. He went on to explain how Joan's behavior had grown increasingly erratic, especially after Marcus's death in 2021. Jonathan admitted that he and Susie had tried to approach their mother with their concerns, but each time they were met with resistance, anger, and a lack of empathy. She was always quick to blame us for everything, Jonathan continued. If anything went wrong, it was our fault. The more we tried to reach out to her, the further she pushed us away. It's been painful to see her like this. According to Jonathan and Susie, Joan's emotional withdrawal from the family was compounded by her cold and harsh treatment towards them. They revealed that Joni had become unrecognizable from the loving mother they once knew. The woman we once knew who loved and supported us is gone, Susie explained tearfully. After Dad died, it was as if something in her broke, and she turned into someone we didn't recognize anymore. It was a dark shift, and it happened so fast. The children's statement also touched on the strain caused by Joan's involvement with Doug Weiss, whom she married just months after Marcus's death. According to Jonathan, his mother's sudden remarriage was not only emotionally difficult for them but was also a decision that left them feeling betrayed. How could she move on so quickly after Dad's passing? She never gave us a chance to heal, Jonathan said, his voice shaking with emotion. It felt like she was choosing someone else over us, and that hurt. The marriage to Doug Weiss, a controversial union, raised eyebrows within both the Lamb family and the broader Christian community. Doug, who had been a close friend of the family, was suddenly thrust into a position of prominence within Dyer after Marcus's death. He was not only introduced as Joan's new husband, but also quickly became involved in the leadership of the network. This sudden rise to power was one of the many points of contention for Jonathan and Susie, who were left wondering why Doug was so quickly allowed to take such an influential role. It was like she was replacing Dad with Doug, and we were supposed to just accept it, Susie shared. It felt like everything we had built together, everything our family stood for, was being erased. Doug had no history with the ministry. He had no right to step into our father's shoes so soon after his death. The speed of the marriage and the swift introduction of Doug into the Dyer leadership raised questions not only within the Lamb family but among Dyer supporters as well. Some speculated that Joan's decision to marry Doug was an attempt to fill the void left by Marcus's death, but many found it troubling that this shift occurred so quickly without allowing time for proper mourning or reflection. "Mom was so desperate for comfort after Dad died," Jonathan said, his tone pained. "She was looking for someone to fill the gap, and I don't think she realized how much it would hurt us. We felt like she was abandoning us in favor of Doug, and we had no say in it." A deeper look into Joan's changing attitude and allegations of betrayal reveals troubling issues within the family. Jonathan and Susie both claimed that their mother's behavior had become increasingly controlling and manipulative. They described a series of incidents in which Joan would shut them out of important decisions, especially those related to Dyer. "It was as if she was trying to erase us from the picture," Jonathan explained. "She made decisions without consulting us, and when we tried to express our concerns, we were met with silence or anger." In addition to these emotional struggles, there were allegations of financial mismanagement and questionable spending. Jonathan accused his mother of making extravagant purchases, including a luxurious honeymoon trip for herself and Doug Weiss, which reportedly cost Dyer an eye-watering $100,000. "This wasn't just a personal expense," Jonathan said, his voice rising with frustration. "This was Dyer's money that should have been going to help people, to support the ministry's mission. Instead, it went to fund a lavish vacation. It felt like a slap in the face to everyone who had supported our family and the network for so many years." These allegations of financial irresponsibility further deepened the rift within the Lamb family. Jonathan and Susie both felt that their mother had lost sight of the principles that Marcus had instilled in them, principles of humility, stewardship, and integrity. "Dad would never have allowed this," Susie said. "This isn't the ministry he built. It's not what he stood for." As the Lamb children made their announcement to the public, it became clear that their family was in crisis. What had once been a picture of unity and faith had turned into a fractured and disillusioned group. Jonathan and Susie's willingness to speak out was a powerful message, one that conveyed not only their deep hurt but also their desire for accountability and change. "We don't want to tear our family apart," Jonathan said, his voice full of emotion. "But we can't stand by and let our mother continue down this path. She's not the person she used to be, and it's breaking our hearts." Joni Lamb, once known for her grace and strength as a leader in Christian broadcasting, now finds herself at the center of a family scandal that threatens to unravel everything she had built. The allegations made by her children have cast a shadow over Dyer, with supporters of the network questioning whether it can recover from this public upheaval. As Joan's health continues to deteriorate, and as her relationship with her children remains strained, the future of Dyer hangs in the balance. Jonathan and Susie's announcement has set in motion a series of events that will not only affect the Lamb family but also the millions of people who have supported their ministry over the years. Only time will tell if healing is possible, but for now, the Lamb family is left grappling with the consequences of their broken relationships and the disillusionment that has taken root within their once strong foundation. In the end, this isn't just a story of a family in turmoil. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, the importance of accountability, and the painful consequences of losing sight of the very principles that once defined you. The aftermath, unveiling the dark truth about Joni Lamb. As the Lamb family's drama continues to unfold in the public eye, the story surrounding Joni Lamb has become one of the most shocking and controversial narratives in Christian media. What was once considered a beacon of faith and unity, the Dyer television network has now become entangled in scandal, financial mismanagement, and familial betrayal. Joni Lamb, once celebrated for her leadership and grace, has been thrust into the spotlight in a way few could have anticipated. The explosive revelations from her own children, Jonathan and Susie, have painted a picture of a woman who has lost touch with the very principles she once held dear. As the layers of this story are peeled back, some of the most startling and disturbing facts about Joni Lamb's actions and character have come to light. The destruction of family bonds. Perhaps the most devastating revelation is the profound breakdown in Joan's relationship with her children. Once known as a loving mother and wife, Joan's treatment of Jonathan and Susie in recent years has caused irreparable damage to family bonds. Jonathan and Susie have both expressed deep hurt and frustration over their mother's cold and detached behavior. Their criticism paints a picture of a woman who has become increasingly distant, manipulative, and controlling, qualities that have alienated the very family she once cherished. Both Jonathan and Susie have described their mother's behavior as erratic and emotionally abusive, particularly after the death of their father, Marcus Lamb. Jonathan openly criticized Joni for pushing them away in her time of grief, noting that her inability to cope with the loss of Marcus led her to emotionally withdraw and isolate herself from her children. She became a different person after Dad died, Jonathan explained. The warmth and love we once felt from her turned into something cold and unrecognizable. A sudden and unsettling marriage to Doug Weiss. One of the most controversial aspects of Joan's behavior, and perhaps the one that has raised the most eyebrows, is her sudden marriage to Doug Weiss, a Christian psychologist and counselor. The timing of the marriage, just months after Marcus's death, seemed jarring to many, including her own children. Jonathan and Susie have made it clear that they felt betrayed by their mother's decision to marry so soon, as it appeared to them that Joni was more concerned with filling the emotional void left by Marcus's death than with allowing her family the time and space to grieve properly. What made this marriage even more troubling was the speed with which Doug Weiss was integrated into the Dyer ministry. Just months after the wedding, Doug was given a prominent leadership role within the network, a move that many, including Jonathan, viewed as a slap in the face to Marcus' legacy. It was as though she was replacing Dad with Doug, Jonathan lamented. It was too fast, too soon, and it left us feeling abandoned. The $100,000 honeymoon scandal. While the issues surrounding Joan's marriage to Doug Weiss are deep and troubling, the most explosive and damaging revelation comes in the form of financial mismanagement. Jonathan Lamb made a startling accusation that Dyer, the ministry built by his parents, had spent $100,000 on a honeymoon for Joni and Doug, a sum he described as obscene and deeply inappropriate, given that the network is primarily funded by donations from its viewers. Dyer's money should be going to support the work of the ministry, not to fund extravagant personal indulgences, Jonathan said. That honeymoon was a betrayal of everything Dyer stands for. Our supporters trusted us to be responsible with their donations, and here my mother was spending that money on luxury just months after our father's death. This allegation of financial misconduct has sent shockwaves through the Dyer community. The network, which was once known for its focus on spiritual well-being and outreach, now finds itself mired in controversy, with many of its supporters questioning how their donations were being spent. Jonathan's accusation has raised serious questions about Joni Lamb's leadership and integrity and has left many wondering how the network will recover from the scandal. As the Lamb family drama continues to unfold, it is clear that the situation is far from resolved. Joni Lamb, once an iconic figure in Christian broadcasting, now stands at the center of a family crisis that threatens to undermine her legacy and the ministry she helped build. Jonathan and Susie have shown no signs of backing down in their criticism of their mother's behavior, and it remains to be seen whether the Lamb family can find a path to reconciliation. The story of Joni Lamb is a tragic one, filled with heartbreak, betrayal, and scandal. It serves as a powerful reminder of the complexity of family dynamics and the toll that power, grief, and unchecked ambition can take on those involved. As the Lamb family navigates this turbulent time, the future of Dyer Television Network and the once proud Lamb family remains uncertain.